What's up, guys? This is episode 6 of the Four Lifters by Lifters podcast, and we have our good friend Dan Margolis here, who's an NPC bodybuilder. He's also the best demo rep that Nutra Bio has ever had. He's actually their vice president.
Yes.
Is that right? Of operations at Nutra Bio. We have a good history with Nutra Bio as far as like Coalition Nutrition goes. I believe we were their first like true wholesale account, or at least one of the first ones, and that was back in early 2015. I think March 2015.
Yes.
We've been carrying their products ever since, and have had a great rapport with the brand. So we wanted to bring Dan on today to discuss what's going on at Nutra Bio, why people should probably buy some Nutra Bio products, and what goes on at their facility. So it's cool to have somebody who's seen their brand from being a demo rep and an athlete. I mean, you were really an athlete. I'm just busting your balls calling you a demo rep.
No. Listen, I was everything and anything, and I still am.
Yeah,
so.
That's very fair. You're a utility man. But now, he's worked his way up to sales, and now he's in the VP spot. So it's just cool how much he's gotten to see the Nutra Bio brand grow across the country and I guess globally now, right?
Yeah, no. One of, the main things I'm working on now is international sales, and it's just amazing to see. It's another aspect that we had some international sales, but it was very, very small, similar to where our wholesale was, in 2015, and that we're taking it to this month will actually be our largest month for international sales ever, and we're, up 500% over the last year. It's crazy. So.
It's probably the biggest market, right? Because domestically, it's extremely competitive, but when you go overseas, I feel like people are more fans of fitness over there, so they tend to consume more maybe.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of hoops to jump through when you're doing international.
International paperwork can be a headache isn't even the right word done, but there's no better feeling getting a Nutra Bio product, whether it be the protein into the UK or our great branching amino acids into countries like Iraq, Libya, Iran. We're working with countries all over the world now, and it's really cool to see that we have these markets: North America, South America, Asia, working on China, and we have some great accounts in Asia already. But we're just working on expanding it and doing the same thing that we did with our wholesale for Nutra Bio. Kind of start and blow it up.
I know that most of our viewers probably don't care too much about the business side, but what I thought was cool is we have a customer who was he was from Kuwait, and he was doing his master's over here, and he was in America for 7 years, I think, and he went back to Kuwait, and that's where he lives now. He just got married, and he has a gym out there, and everybody knows Oxygen, but not many people know of his gym, which is a powerlifting gym. And he was saying, like, the way their country works, like, whoever I guess mainly like the first person to carry a brand becomes the distributor. So if you want like Nutra Bio product, then you have to go through this distributor now to get it, and you can no longer buy it direct because it'll get held up in customs. Let's talk about some of the stuff that Nutra Bio is doing. One of the things that always racks in my head when I think about like you and Mark, I just wonder, like, what protein do you guys use? I know it's like such a dumb, like, elementary question, but you guys have everything, so it just makes
Honestly,
you wonder.
What I think I could speak for Mark on this too. I don't know if he's switching to this recently, but the protein that I use specifically is actually one of our lower sellers, because we have our Premier Isolate and we also have our Classic Whey, both some amazing flavors in both of those proteins. But my favorite protein is actually the Muscle Matrix. Especially with the new flavor systems. The chocolate peanut butter bliss is out of this world. But why I like the Muscle Matrix is kind of threefold. It has the 55% isolate and 45% casein, so you're getting that fast-acting protein. You're getting a slower-acting protein too, to buy you a little bit more time. I'm not competing anymore, so there's some days that I'm stuck working and I might only get a couple meals in, but that Muscle Matrix will make sure I'm still getting the protein and the amino acids I need to, hit my training goals, whatever they might be at the time. And so I love the fact that it's the fast and slow protein. I also love the fact it's a little bit thicker because you have the casein in there, so it gives it a little bit more of like a mouthfeel, almost like an actual shake. And the flavor systems, the new flavor systems are amazing. And we actually have some new flavors, really cool, coming out really soon. So I'm excited for that.
I actually drink Muscle Matrix every day with
Yep.
my lunch. I just
People
have a
that know,
shake.
that's what they
Yeah.
drink. Yeah.
And it's so good. Like we have milk protein isolate products from other brands, and for those of you that don't know, milk protein is essentially before it's divided into whey and casein, so you're getting both already. But it doesn't digest for me the way that Muscle Matrix does. And I don't know if it's yielding more lactose or what it might be, but I have just major issues digesting it. But with Muscle Matrix, I have zero issues. It digests like a whey isolate.
Yeah.
And I always thought like a lot of people drink isolates because they want to time it, like for their post workout or whatever. And okay, like I understand that, but when you're consuming protein outside of post workout, wouldn't you want it to digest like a food would?
You're 100% dead on. Most people just buy isolate because that's what they think they need, when actually a product like Muscle Matrix will actually benefit them much more. But we have whatever works for anybody: the isolate, the classic way, or the Muscle Matrix.
Yeah, I feel like if you're ultra sensitive, the isolate is the ultimate pick,
Yeah.
right? Especially your isolates that have just high transparency, and you guys don't do a ton of sweetener in your products as far as like gram dosage goes.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about something digesting well, then you just go with the isolate. But for everything else, I really do think the muscle matrix is kind of where it's at.
Yeah, no, like I said, people that know, that's the protein of their choice. So I actually think with the new flavor systems, my guess would be we're going to see a huge increase in muscle matrix over the next 6 to 12 months as people are looking more for a meal replacement protein, which was extremely hot. The last few months because of COVID, people are looking for like an actual meal replacement protein. That's what Muscle Matrix is. And again, new flavor systems: chocolate peanut butter bliss, ice cream cookie dream, and we have a new one coming out on July 3rd that is awesome. Can't wait to share that with you.
Is that
guys.
what all the social media posts are?
Yes.
Okay.
So we, it's not just that. We are launching actually 3. I won't ruin the surprise, but I will say one is a Muscle Matrix, and it is off the chain.
Okay. What's your thoughts on like stevia versus sucralose?
I really think it's personal preference. I personally prefer sucralose, the taste of it. Stevia can kind of have a little bit of a bitter aftertaste sometimes. That's just me, my personal taste buds. That being said, there's no defining research if sucralose is bad for you, if stevia is bad for you, if sugar is bad for you. We go back and forth in between the sweeteners, what we're using for the natural and for sucralose. But I personally prefer sucralose, and I think anything in moderation, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I think the moderation point is king. One of the things that we look at when we compare products is your gram of protein and then your scoop size, and we like to compare that. And what we find is that generally the products that are a lot sweeter have a larger amount of a bigger discrepancy.
Yep.
So we assume that that's probably more sucralose, more stuff that they might put in there for mouthfeel, that kind of stuff.
Depends on the quality of the product too, whether it's a true. If we're looking at most proteins out there, they're highly concentrate based. Whether it's a WPC 80, which is the highest grade concentrate you can get, or it could be as low as 34%, even lower. So depending on that, the amount of cholesterol, fat, everything else that's in the product, carbohydrates, that's going to be higher. Versus even our classic way, but specifically our isolate.
But if we're comparing isolate brand A to isolate brand B,
yes, definitely, generally would be the flavoring and things that they are adding for mouthfeel.
Okay,
but guar gum, things of that.
I remember Mark talking about like a new technology you guys were using for flavoring. Are you guys still using that? Like a spray-on technology or something?
Yes. So what that is actually spraying the flavor onto the protein. So we're not adding the protein afterwards, and we are doing that with some products, not all. But we're working on that, trying to fine tune it to where we can, actually like spray dry on the chocolate, the protein before we start, and then add another flavor in. So you get basically almost like a time released protein. So the chocolate hits you first, then the peanut butter, and working on all sorts of different things. We have a guy in house, which is awesome. We have the capability of doing everything in house. We have an in house flavorist, Michael Price, who also does a lot for us with QA and whatnot. But he is like not just a master, but he's like a magician with these flavors, and they keep getting better and better, and we're not having to add more crap to get it to taste better, and that's the most important part to us, because we will not devalue a product just to make it taste better.
Yeah, and that's when I'm still a consumer, just like you are. And when I look at consuming products, let's just say I take a pre-workout here and there. I take pump products. I take carbohydrate products. There's a sleep aid that we enjoy that's a powder, so that has sweetener in it. When you look at all the things that you're taking and how much sweetener that you're taking in on a daily basis, like I know that I'm going to take 2 to 3 scoops of protein on a daily basis, and I want to minimize the amount of sweetener I'm getting.
Definitely.
Because whether it's good or bad, we both know that, yeah, it all adds up. So, and that's what I like about the Nutra Bio products. It's almost always like the total gram of the scoop is almost always like a gram less than all of the other major brands. So I think you guys do a good job with that.
And we do disclose the amount of sucralose in each product too. So if you are, I'm not saying solely use Nutra Bio products. There's a lot of other great products out there. And I use a lot of products from other brands. It's generally products we don't actually have, but I will use products from other companies. And when I'm using those and I want to calculate the amount of sucralose I'm taking in the day, you can't get an exact. If it's just Nutra Bio, you actually can get an exact, and at least gets you closer to having a better, understanding, idea of exactly how much sucralose you're getting in.
Do you guys use WPC 34 in anything?
We do not. No, the only proteins we use are isolate, WPC 80 for our classic whey, and we also have the casein. Actually, I think those are, besides we're coming out with a new plant protein soon, those are the only proteins you'll find in our facility.
Yeah.
So you will not find a concentrate lower than WPC 80. We used to stock some of those lower grade proteins because we were a contract manufacturer, so we did produce for other companies that wanted protein products with lower grade proteins in it. So we did have those in house, but as of now, we are not doing any contract manufacturing. You won't even find a concentrate below 80%.
Yeah, and I think that's why like Extreme Mass does really well for us, and I think that's the reason why it does so well is because they're not you guys are not using the cheaper grade protein, and when
still putting that high grade in there.
Yeah, and like sometimes adults, like younger kids, I feel like you can handle the the cheaper gainers, right? Because you can just digest more. It seems like your gut bacteria is just different, and but as people get older, especially adults that want to gain weight and they want a clean gainer, almost every one of them goes to Extreme Mass and they continue to buy Extreme Mass.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things adverse reactions that happens with most mass products, most weight gainers, is you're drinking it and you're immediately going to the bathroom. So it's your body can't even process what you're taking in, whether it be too many calories or a low grade protein or too much sucralose or whatever is in that product that's making you run to the bathroom. With our Extreme Mass, it is just like the total calories of a meal, and you actually hold it down like a meal. You're not just going to run to the bathroom and basically have it run through your system.
So I saw probably like right before COVID hit, I think Mark had rejected some massive amount of raw ingredients. How often does that happen with you guys?
I believe we're up to 8% of all incoming raw ingredients we're rejecting at this point.
And so how's that process work? Like it comes in, you guys test it?
Yes. So basically, any raw ingredient that's coming in, even if it's an ingredient that we have already vetted and we know the percentages and we've been using it for a while, any raw ingredient comes into the facility and immediately goes to a quarantine area. Until it is tested in-house and results are sent out to a third party, we get those results back. Purity, potency, no harmful chemicals in it. Until we get those results back, that will not even leave the quarantine area. So it's, for sure, all right, the ingredients we're putting into our products, even the ingredients in our warehouse won't, could not be lower than the spec that we want them to be or that they're supposed to be, because it'll either be in the quarantine area or once it passes, in-house and third-party tests, it goes into the warehouse and or manufacturing.
Do you think other brands are doing that?
I hate to talk bad about other brands, but no, I don't believe most companies are doing that. They might test one barrel of the raw ingredient in one spot, where what we're doing is we're going to test a top, middle, and bottom of every single barrel we get in, not just the top of one barrel. Because what companies, everyone's looking to pull one off on someone, especially in this industry. But they'll ship 10 barrels of, let's say it's glutamine. We have 10 barrels of glutamines coming in, and the one that's sitting on the top or closest to the front of the pallet where you would open it, where the paperwork is, whatnot, most companies would test the top of that drum and call it a day.
Right.
But a lot of companies that are selling these raw ingredients, they will put the high grade glutamine in the top of the front drum or the top of all the drums. All right, so that's where most people are testing. What we're pulling is a sample of the middle and the bottom as well. So for sure, we know every single drum is going to meet our spec.
It sounds like you learned that from experience, though.
Definitely. I think a lot of the SOPs we have in house right now are from learning over the years of the other scams in the industry that the ingredient suppliers are trying to pull off. So it's just like in any industry, there's the actual the company that owns that ingredient. They're selling it to a distributor. That distributor might be selling it to another distributor. Then it's coming into the U.S. So it might touch 3 people's hands before it ever gets into the U.S. But in the end, we know exactly what this product is, where it came from. We control the entire chain of custody. We'll actually track it all the way back to the original manufacturer of that product. So we know for sure, all right, it meets the spec that it started off as.
I think that's one of the nice things about Nutra Bio is the simplicity. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize I want to say at least probably 75% of your products are single ingredient products or very close to single ingredient products. Yeah. But what's nice is you're guaranteeing the purity. Right, so if I'm buying a single ingredient and you're guaranteed, like for creatine, for example, you're guaranteeing that it's 100% pure. What more could I want?
100%, 99.9.
Well, yeah, but what else could I look for? Like, there's nothing else out there.
So for sure that it's always going to meet that spec. It's going to be the purest product that's out there. But you also have the ability to use checkmysubs.com, where you can look at the bottom of any of your favorite Nutra Bio supplements, take the lot number, plug it into a website called checkmysubs.com, and actually see third-party lab results for this ingredient or product, whether it be Intrablast. It'll have all the ingredients listed. Or if it was just a single ingredient like glutamine, it'll have the exact percentage of the glutamine, the date it was tested, where it was tested, the name of the technician that tested it, and the results.
What's your thought on like clinical dosing? Do you believe in it?
I don't know if I say I believe in clinical dosing. I believe in therapeutic dosing, which is generally the same thing. But what I believe therapeutic to be is what actually works, what has been tested. Whether it be bro science or in a lab. This amount of the specific ingredient is going to show the highest benefit with the least amount of adverse reactions.
The reason why I bring that up is we're in like a Me Too environment for pre-workouts. Definitely. Where almost every brand is doing like 6 grams of citrulline, 3.2 beta alanine, about 350 to 400 caffeine, and you can find them all day, everywhere. But they feel different, right? So if we have products that are almost identical on label, why do they feel different?
Very great point.
And then it comes down to purity. And it comes down to if that clinical dosing is really what the body's looking for, right?
Yeah.
So when you guys formulate products, are you looking at whatever studies are saying are the clinical dose, or are you more worried about the way it makes people feel? Like, because the anecdotal evidence is completely different.
Yeah. No. Mark does most of our formulations, and he is looking at the clinical and therapeutic doses, but he also is testing every product at every point, whether it starts at the 1 ingredient, then 2 ingredients, then 3 ingredients. He does very thorough testing. He'll give it to some of our guys in house. He'll send it out to some of our athletes, and he'll send it out to some people in the industry and just see what they think. So we'll get a powerlifter's perspective, we'll get a bodybuilder's perspective, we'll get just an overall like track athlete, their perspective, and we'll send it to a guy who's an average gym goer that has 3 kids. How's he gonna feel? So we want to get those the results, that information back, so then we can properly make correct changes for whatever specific market we're trying to hit. For what we're doing generally is it's overall, so we want to get everyone's opinion and kind of merge it together.
Yeah, I feel like when a lot of brands I guess when they develop products off of clinical dosing, that there might be missing the fact that things kind of complement each other or can cancel each other out. And so they're focused on they're all focused on whatever examine.com is saying is the clinical dose, and if that ingredient works. And speaking of which, I think if you go on Examiner, at least last time I looked it up, when you look up products like HMB, like the science is really poor. Behind HMB, but I know
There's
that's
a lot of new studies coming out that negate all the old studies.
Okay.
So it's really interesting. There's so many different things, going on with many ingredients. One I'll just call out a product that I used to love, and when I think back, I do see where this research actually is very applicable now. Where DAA, the new research shows that it does increase your base testosterone levels, but for a very short period of time, it actually then starts to go backwards. So guys that are using that for part of their PCT, and or just the average gym goer looking to boost their testosterone levels a little bit, you can use it for like 2 weeks, and after that, it actually goes backwards on you. So that's a product that we're not selling anymore.
Yeah.
And even because there's still a market, but if the research is showing it can actually be a negative benefit, we're definitely not going to touch it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But yeah, no, you're correct about a lot of ingredients. Even there's a lot of studies that have won against glutamine, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I still am a huge advocate of glutamine. I take 15 grams of it in a fruit and veggie shake I have every single morning. So I'm still a big believer in it. I think it's good for many reasons. I think it can help with immunity. That's one of the main reasons I'm taking it now. But just overall recovery, personally, I think it's one of the best products. But the science isn't saying that right now.
So you guys can't even market it that way because the science isn't, I guess black and white.
Yeah.
So you're not able to say glutamine can help you with recovery. You can just say we have glutamine.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
Make your own decision.
It can be very frustrating, especially with what the FDA allows us to say at this point is like walking a tightrope across the Niagara Falls. It's literally no matter which way you go, you're falling. So it's extremely technical, and if you do say the wrong thing, a company like Nutra Bio, like us, that is being looked at, we will end up having problems.
Yeah, you guys are too big now.
Yeah.
Is there any other ingredients? The only reason I brought up HMB was because you brought that up to me probably in 2015.
Yeah, it was.
And you're like,
one
oh, I
of my
love
favorite
HMB. And then we looked up the science. We're like, what the hell is this guy
products.
talking about?
Yeah. No. I'm still a big believer in HMB too. I think it is great for recovery. Now, I believe glutamine is better for overall recovery and health than HMB, but I still believe in HMB. But the science has continued to actually go backwards over the years. So.
What are there any other ingredients that have that big of a gap between what the science is saying and how you feel?
You know what? I'm not sure. The biggest ones that have changed yet would be the glutamine. That's been for a couple of years now. The HMB for years. The DAA. I can't think of any others on the top off of my head. But even honestly, Tribulus doesn't have good studies backing it up anymore. So.
Yeah. One of the things, another thing I've always noticed about Nutra Bio is you guys aren't real big in like hormone support and fat loss categories.
No. We actually have some scheduled products for both of those coming out. They've been delayed a few times, and we had actually multiple delays this year, due to COVID. We had, new testosterone product, muscle builder, powder fat burner, pump product. These were all scheduled to come out actually this spring. And due to COVID, we completely switched gears and started producing more immune supplements because, that's what was going to sell, and that's what was going to support our community right now. So, that was the most important the thing was actually just getting through these few months, seeing it through to the other side, and without having to lay off any staff or some companies close their doors. So,
do you think you guys kind of veered away from those two categories just because you are like the ultimate transparent company and you wanted to stay away from like gimmicky marketing?
Definitely, but and again, like I was just talking about with Tribulus, there's not too many studies right now backing it up, but there is a market for it, and we're testing multiple ingredients to come up with a product that we can truly believe in.
Yeah, we weren't big on over-the-counter like testosterone support products. We never really have, but we actually do have a product that multiple people have gotten blood work on, after taking for 3 months, and it showed them 300-point increases.
Which one is that?
It's Turo Test from Project AD.
Okay.
So two different guys
Great
have
company.
yeah. Two different, and he's another one who's very anti-D-aspartic acid. He was really the first one that would start calling people out for using it.
Joe has been ahead of the research many times. One of the smartest guys in the industry. Good friend. I love Joe. And he's been called out multiple times, and every time I've seen him get called out, he eventually comes back with evidence to choke the person. So, it's there's nothing to be said after he comes out with his research. No, there's just crickets. So,
Yeah. He's an interesting guy.
yeah, and he's funny.
He's fully
I love him and
responsive all
Frank,
the
man. They're
time.
great.
Yeah. They're like a married couple.
Oh my god, yeah, they're just hysterical. Got Frank out in Vegas now partying.
Yeah. But yeah, so we've had a great success with that product. But I feel like a lot of people aren't getting blood work done when they take other products.
Definitely.
And the companies aren't providing it to us to prove that their products work.
Yeah,
So we try
no,
to stay away from any. I don't want a customer to be a guinea pig. Like if
No.
they come in and they're looking for something, I want them to be able to achieve that through the product.
Couldn't agree more.
So
yeah,
it's
most of the test boosters out there couldn't hold a flame to a Toro test. So
Yeah.
it's it's a different level of type of product. They're in my opinion on the same level as Nutra Bio with the products that they're putting out. I almost trust them blindly
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of our customers do too. Like they have that reputation that if I love XYZ product, I know that I'm also gonna like their amino product or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no.
So we have a just like you guys, we have a lot of very loyal customers for that brand. So last year in powerlifting, like natural tested powerlifting, they started cracking down on drug tests, and they started doing what it looked like, I guess, more frequent testing, just because some pretty well-known lifters started popping tests.
Yeah.
And one of the guys said that I think he tested for like 2 or 3 SARMs, and he said that it was in his protein powder. He didn't know he was consuming it.
So the SARM was actually in his protein powder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that even like?
I actually have heard of that, but I believe it's very, very small portion of companies that are or even doing SARMs at this point, producing SARMs, but even fewer that are putting it in a protein. So that's, that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I just don't feel like it's a realistic thing. I can't see somebody taking a product and adding anything to it and not disclosing and marketing. What would be the point in adding it?
I have
It's an
seen a
additional
protein
cost.
that was marketed that it had S4 in it, but I haven't seen one that they're actually putting S4 in and not disclosing it, thinking that the protein is going to sell better because people aren't expecting to get that reaction out of protein, so they would never think that it was in there. So that makes no sense. But there were companies putting it in their protein. I know that.
Yeah, it just seems crazy to me. But have you seen anything else on the manufacturing side of products? I guess like not only not meeting label claim, and I don't want to scare anybody because the products that we carry in our store I think are pretty good brands, and most of them have provided third-party testing, which I don't think a lot of retailers are demanding.
No.
But we have all that stuff. So have you do you have any crazy stories about stuff that you've seen or stuff that I know you guys do a lot of in-house testing for other brands? Have you seen anything that you want to?
I especially if it was something we tested and there was something wrong with it, and we have, we'll keep up on the market, and let's say if we have a real competitor that we're battling it out with in the retail space or whichever space it is, we will test their product, see exactly what's in it, and I can say, generally, if we're getting beat by a company and they're just killing us on price, and then we tested their product, generally is product wasn't what it was supposed to be, and their cost of goods are half of ours. No wonder they can go so much lower. But I wouldn't be able to disclose the company.
Yeah.
Mark would kill me.
Yeah.
But I'm always the one flying off the handle, and he's like, "Calm down, Dan." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna kill him." So no, but he wouldn't let me. He keeps me on a leash.
So the reason we sought Nutra Bio out in 2015 is because the amino spiking thing was going down. We actually created an entire shelf system in our little mini store at the time, and it was called the Shelf of Shame.
Yeah.
And it had all the brands, and even if we didn't carry the brand, we bought the brand from the distributor to put on this shelf to show people how to identify amino spiking and what to look for in their proteins. When you guys are testing stuff, are you still seeing companies doing any amino spiking, or is that kind of gone now?
It never stopped.
Never stopped?
Yeah. No, unfortunately, it never stopped. Companies just came out and started marketing their products that they weren't amino spiked, and then they were still amino spiking them.
Yeah.
So they were, coming out, against it. But unfortunately, it is still a very frequent occurrence in the industry. And even if you look at other countries, specifically, for like Europe. it's perfectly okay to amino spike. They actually now, aminos will they'll actually count as protein on the label, and they're totally okay with it. It's the true amino spiking, but
Yeah.
it's not actually spiking because it's actually does count as their
Disclosed.
protein.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really interesting how things are going with the international market. But with the U.S., I don't believe amino spiking and protein spiking is ever going to be something that's legal. It's definitely a way to just rip off the consumer.
So it's crazy that it's still going on.
Yeah,
I'm very thankful that the brands that we have are, kind of top tier brands.
definitely.
And I think you guys kind of started that trend, though.
I do believe we did. Mark was, preaching about amino spiking back in 2005. Just like you guys were way ahead of the curve on many things with what you've done with your store, and that's why you guys have grown so much. Mark was like so far ahead of his time. It almost led to I guess a smaller transition of or company growth because he was so focused on doing everything the right way that our cost of goods were so much more, and everything was a slower process to get where we are today. But he was, I mean, like a decade ahead of the curve. It's crazy.
I think that's because he went the other way when he first started, right? If he didn't run into that wall with a bad
Yep.
manufacturer,
No,
then
you're
Nutra
100%
Bio
right.
wouldn't be what Nutra Bio is.
No. If he didn't go to a contract manufacturer and then see the shady sides of the contract manufacturing industry firsthand, he wouldn't have, he threw all of his products out, destroyed it all, and basically it was actually a company called Nutrabiotics, closed Nutrabiotics, opened up Nutrabio, and started manufacturing every product in house.
That's crazy. And before you guys, I had never toured a manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that NutraBio was my first experience, I've been to other manufacturing facilities after,
Yeah.
and they're just not the same. Like they're nowhere near as clean
It's-
as what you guys do.
no, It's oh, you haven't seen it. Have you seen it since it was redone?
Man, I haven't been up. 2016, I
Since
think was
we
the last
interviewed
time.
Mark?
Yeah.
You got to come back up. We are going to do, actually, we're still discussing it. Last year we did this Bio Crew Bash, which is the grand opening of our new facility, which is still at the same place but completely redid manufacturing. I did a lot of painting and cleaning up around the place as well, but it's our manufacturing facility is so much different than most. And it's so funny because you actually see these companies actually marketing their facility and the things they're doing, and on the video they're breaking GMP regulations. And it's unfortunately it's just become like a term everyone throws around, GMP certified. People just proclaim themselves GMP certified now, so I personally think it's a little bit of an issue. If you need to actually be certified and actually have a certification to be GMP, but now it's just a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah, I think Mark did like either like a pseudo inspection for himself, or you guys were inspecting. I think this is a while ago, and I think the only failure was somebody had propped open a door.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, he will would audit the facility, multiple times a year on his own. We even had Bruce Neller in recently. He came and audited our facility for a customer. We have an open door policy. You can come in and tour whenever you would like, in between business hours, and that we all have to schedule it and whatnot. But generally, we still have people come in off the streets, consumers ours, and ask to take a tour, and we take them right then and there. So it just depends exactly what's going on. We don't allow the cameras in the back because we have had people try to sneak in cameras and actually, take some of the, it's not proprietary anything we're doing back there, but they will try to just completely copy us. So we try to limit as much as possible because we have put a lot of time, energy, and effort into getting it to the way it is now. And the way it is now, it's basically a foolproof system and facility to produce the highest quality products the money can buy, and that's what it's all about for us.
If you were to look at the evolution of the supplement industry for like years to come, do you think that most brands are going to end up like yours, like self-manufacturing, and fully, not the full disclosure thing, because I understand the argument for proprietary blends, but just being transparent in where their sources are coming from and that kind of stuff?
I believe that's the way it should go. I don't believe that's the way it's going to go. Reason being is there's just such a low barrier to entry into this, market. In owning a supplement brand, you can call up, one of maybe like 500 contract manufacturers in the U.S. And you can even get quotes from the 5 closest to you, so you can actually show up and tour them or inspect them. And most companies don't even do that. It's just based on price point, and anyone can open up a supplement brand at any point, and not too many consumers are looking to see if they manufacture their own products. It's not something that's looked at yet. If that starts happening and there's a big push for consumers wanting to know exactly where their product is being made, I can see it go in that direction slowly. But what percentage of the market even knows about amino spiking at this point? After Mark preaching about it for 15 years, and a lot of companies changing a lot of the things that they're doing, but maybe it was 10% of the industry that changed. So there's not enough base consumers pushing for that direction at this point, and I don't believe that they honestly ever will.
It's just crazy. Like now, 6 years ago when we entered the market, I think the minimum run for a contract manufacturer was maybe like 500, somewhere in that
all
range.
Depends whether you're doing a capsule product or like a hard pill product. Like we don't even actually produce any hard pills. It's all vegetarian capsules, pure powder in our facility. But it depends exactly what type of product you're looking to produce, whether it be and it's specific to the category and or powder or pill, and the minimums will range contract manufacturer to contract manufacturer. I know there's some at this point that'll do like 144 units.
I saw somebody was advertising to me on Facebook the other day, and it had 50. What? 50 units.
That is just so crazy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
So I was on a call with the manufacturer probably in 2015, and I was asking them how they do things and whether it's contract or if they have products pre-made, and they were pushing that they had products already pre-made and they can just add your label to it.
Yeah, no, and that's basically like white labeling. Not I'm not sure what's the exact term for it, but there's many companies that will do that as well, where they have extremely costly, unless. I mean, you took out a huge loan. You had multiple angel investors. There's no way you could actually set up, a very thought out manufacturing facility if you just wanted to do one product and you wanted like a pill press or something. Maybe you only need $20,000, but you still need a room that is going to be a clean room, and be able to do it the right way, not just put it in your second bedroom in your house.
Yeah,
that's not what you're supposed to be doing. But unfortunately, there are a lot of products that are made that way. Made in someone's garage. And that's honestly how Mark started back in I think 1993. He was making his own products, in the garage, and just putting it in a bottle, shaking it up, and then going to whichever karate student. So he knew the products he was using and mixing up, but that's what he was doing. And at the time that was perfectly okay. It honestly was probably still purer than most of the things of today, which is kind of scary. But there is a very low barrier to entry because of contract manufacturing, and for people to do it the right way, it's always really expensive, right? The right way is generally the hard way and the expensive way.
My fiance's father does the machines for manufacturing facilities, but he mostly does pharmaceuticals. And he tells me stories about how guys will get contracts to do like generic whatever, and they're just doing it in their garage. And these are pharmaceutical prescriptions that they're making in their garage. And maybe their garage is GMP certified. I don't know. But just the idea of somebody making something in their garage that's a doctor is writing a script for. Like, I just think that's crazy.
I mean, just the possible contamination. Are they? I mean, again, if you're doing that in your garage, you're probably not even testing the ingredient to know exactly what it is. God forbid, you have ingredients, or medications that aren't even the right medication or the right dose or the right purity, or have harmful imperfections in it. So that's very, very gray area.
Yeah. And it's just crazy. It's not just supplements. Like, I feel like supplements have a negative connotation. Maybe not to our generation, but like to the older generation.
Oh,
they're like, supplements. I had a guy in the other day. He said he was turning 60. He's never taken a supplement a day in his life.
Yeah.
And he was super proud of that.
Yeah.
And whereas our generation's like...
Does he consider supplements vitamins as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's never taken anything. That's amazing.
Anything.
But, it's... unfortunately, there still is a large portion of the U.S. and international of people that might generally a little bit older, but there's a lot of mistrust for nutritional supplements in general. I tell people the story that they don't believe me, but I'm not the closest with my sister, so sometimes we'll go a couple years really without seeing each other or speaking. And I saw her, I think it was like 2 years ago, the first time I'd seen her in a while. And I'm asking her all these questions about her life, her job, and you know, she didn't wouldn't ask me any questions. And I'm like, don't you want to know about like what I'm doing? And she's like, are you proud of what you're doing? And I was just like, what the? You serious? And then she explained it to me. She's like, I really thought all supplements were harmful products, and all I hear about is when they're in the news. So, and if you only hear about products when they're in the news, it's gonna be bad. So she really she thought what I was doing was like semi crooked thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't be prouder of what I'm doing, and explained it to her and explained how Nutra Bio is different than the average, supplement company, and it like blew her mind. She didn't know that, and sometimes I think we just expect people to know these things or know, about what we do differently, but most people do not know what Nutra Bio does differently, and most people aren't, even looking at those things, so, but there still is a huge portion of our market that looks down on nutritional supplements. So, my own family, so it was interesting and an eye-opening experience to realize people really, that's what they think, not, or even take a look at what Nutra Bio is doing to change the industry.
Yeah, I think like when they were born, if you were looking at the 50s and 60s, supplements weren't really a thing. Right, so then they saw the technology of supplements come out. Like, I don't trust that.
Yeah.
And so it just it took me years to get my father to take zinc and magnesium.
Wow.
And he takes the Nutra Bio zinc and magnesium.
Yeah.
But it just took a lot of years to get him to do that. And he says he sleeps better.
Yep.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
But I think like for us, if you're telling me something's gonna help put on muscle, make my life any easier in the gym or how I want to build my physique or strength, I think I'm gonna probably take it, assuming it doesn't have adverse side effects. So I think generational differences are just huge.
Yeah, no, I would never have a problem taking any supplement and testing it out. And I still do that with multiple companies. If there's a product that is in a category we want to go into, I'll take 5 of the top sellers, and I'll do each for a week, see how I feel, then maybe do it for 2 weeks if there's one that was specifically I felt better on, and I'll fine tune it to where I'll kind of rate 1 through 5, and then look at those products and then analytically look how do we want our product to be different, and what was great about these products and what wasn't. So I'll test anything. So a completely different perspective than the rationale of people that are born, the baby boomers and whatnot.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about a flavor launch that you guys are having that you're very excited about. I think your last major flavor launch was a little over a year ago with the dragon fruit.
It was the last major one. Was the launch of the breakfast and snack series. So we had the blueberry muffin, the pancakes and maple syrup, as well as cinnamon donut. Those we still have. They all did very, very well.
We still sell a lot. Yeah.
And we did continue to launch new flavors after that, but not. Actually, we have launched a few in protein with the bourbon banana nut. We've had the root beer.
Root beer's surprisingly good.
Yeah.
People
starting to pick up now, actually.
People underestimate how good that is.
Yeah.
Especially if you mix it with any type of like simple carb for post-workout. It is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, no, it's really good. But we do have 3 proteins coming out, and actually this will probably come out after that. So it'll be 2 isolate and 1 muscle matrix.
Okay.
And there are 3 brand new flavor systems. And what's going to be really cool about this is it's going to be special edition. So they are special edition flavors where this might be a one-off, or we could keep them and put them in the line. But all 3 are also special edition labels that are like Americana theme, that are super cool. Like honestly, our true followers, like our bio crew, they're going to buy a unit of each just to put on a shelf.
Yeah.
They're that cool.
Like a collector thing.
Yeah, no, seriously. It's a really cool, we did this, Irish whiskey cream on St. Patty's Day, and it really was just like a promotion thing, and we created very, very few of them, produced them, and we did a label different, and that's what caught everyone's eye, and our consumers loved it. Like everybody wanted one, and we didn't even make close to enough.
Yeah.
And then it was like, do we do another run like after St. Patty's Day just to fill these now? And we started to look at that and take what we did out of that very well and things that we did not do well, and kind of putting that into this launch where the labels are out of this world, super cool, very, very different for Nutra Bio, nothing like anything we've done, as well as everything matches up with July 4th holiday, and the flavor systems, which are just completely new and kind of a little outside the box, especially for Nutra Bio.
Is that the work of Eric? Is he heavily involved in that?
I believe it was a team effort. Actually, who actually kicked it off was Mark.
Okay.
He came up with an idea of one, and then we kind of built it from there. But yeah, it's been great having Eric on board. Our first marketing director, having someone that is specializing in all the marketing aspects is huge. We didn't have that before. Basically before I was running all sales, marketing, and operations, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
So not much was getting done with 100% effort because I was getting pulled in so many different directions, where now I can really just focus on sales, and the different operations I need help with as well.
It's funny with Nutra Bio, I always feel like I have some type of deep connection with who's there. Eric was when I was at Penn State running the powerlifting team,
Mm-hmm.
Eric was the only guy that would help us out with the meet that we were running. And he sent us boxes and boxes of samples to give out to people, shakers, t-shirts, I mean, everything. Everybody, we had 82 kids on the team. Everybody was ecstatic.
Yeah.
And Animal, which was his previous brand, was the only person that participated. So I've always been very thankful for Eric just for that.
Definitely.
And now that you guys have him, I'm like, wow, it's a small world. And then you have Mike, who's the national sales director. And when he was with his previous company, I told him, I said, Mike, you go with any other company, we can do all the business in the world. Like, you're such a great guy. But
awesome.
but the brand that you're with right now sucks. So it needs to change. So you guys just have a great team over there.
No, we have an amazing team right now. I don't think there's not one part that's missing. So we've really, the last 6 months, been somewhat of like a full court press for marketing, where now we have a marketing director, we have 2 graphic designers, we have a social media director, we have a full-time videographer, on staff. All he's doing is filming and editing 24/7, so we're able to get much better content, able to market that content better. Every aspect we've covered. And last, I think it was in November, we made some hard company decisions. Looking at where we're at now, our budget, and the number one goal, which was marketing. That was what we needed to improve on. We completely kind of changed directions, and we put full court press on that, and now we have and we actually quickly put together a really a good team too, where I actually had hired the full-time videographer, and we had both graphic designers ahead of Eric, and then Eric came on and he found a great social media director too, who started in February, I believe. So
That's great.
We have a great team.
So outside of the flavor launch, what else is coming from you guys?
New products. That's the new products that we were previously going to launch this spring. That's what's going to be coming next. We're going to be looking at the formulas again, which we already are now, but fine-tuning those formulas, fine-tuning some testing, some alpha, some beta samples, and then you will see a powdered pump product, a powdered fat burner. You will see a muscle builder, also a test booster, something we're working on that's been highly requested from us. So those products that people have been asking for a while, the powder fat burner, I can't tell you how many accounts ask for, as well as it's a pump product in general. We still don't have a real pump product. We do have a product called Extreme Nitric Stack. That was probably like the first pump product on the market ever.
Yeah.
So, but now it's more of like a
It's like a
It's
novelty.
like a toolbox of ingredients. It's great for so many purposes: recovery, pump, just about everything. It's a kitchen sink of a product.
It's just like an OG product. Like I feel
Yeah.
like everybody has to try it eventually, type of thing.
Still is a great product that works and is going to help with pump and recovery, but it's really more of like a recovery product at this point.
Cool. All right. So pump, powdered fat burner, test booster. What else did you say?
Muscle builder.
Muscle builder.
Oh, actually, and new pre-workout.
New pre-workout?
Yeah, so we are looking at actually adding a new pre-workout, which would be more towards the market standards now, which will be a much smaller scoop size.
Yeah.
Little bit might be higher stimulant based, might also be a little bit have some ingredients that maybe you wouldn't think Nutra Bio would use. We're gonna try to make it a little bit more edgier, as well as which might not happen this year in 2020 with how everything's happened, but we want to completely redo our pre. So our base pre-workout will be a new pre-workout, and then that will also fall into pre-extreme, the stim-free pre, so all the different versions as well. So, but we want to, again, like you spoke about earlier, almost all the pre-workouts are the same now. So ours doesn't necessarily stand out. We might have a bigger scoop size than all of our competitors, but that doesn't necessarily stand out and sell the product anymore. So when all the ingredients are the same, and most consumers aren't looking at the exact doses of the ingredients, they're just looking, oh, I know that's in there, I know that's in there. And when most of the pre-workout market is going towards that like high stim, we just need to tweak ours a little bit. We're going to completely relaunch the pre and have like a little bit of a high stim. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun for the consumers.
Definitely.
'Cause you guys are you're always on the I guess the moderate side of everything when it comes to the performance side.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
It's not low stim. Our base pre, again, we do have a stim free, but our base pre does have 350 milligrams of total caffeine. 250 coming from anhydrous and 100 from Infinergy. So there's a good amount of caffeine in there, but 350 at this point is somewhat considered somewhat low, which is crazy. I mean, you're seeing products that are 6, 7, 800 milligrams of caffeine, and personally, I don't think that's safe.
Is that even legal?
Probably not. There are companies that will market that there's more caffeine in this product that's on the label, and it's like, do you realize what you're saying? Like, it's but again,
the blind leading the blind.
Yes, yeah, very low barrier to entry, and you can start with 50 units now, so it's crazy.
So most of our customers already follow Nutra Bio on Instagram at Nutra Bio. If they wanted to follow you, are you mostly Instagram as well?
I am on Facebook, but mostly where I post is on Instagram now. Okay. It's Absolute Margolis. It's my last name, Margolis.
So if they want to follow you, or if they have any questions, they can DM you on there?
Anytime, at Absolute Margolis Instagram.
Cool. Guys, give Dan a follow. He's definitely an industry vet. And I think that wraps up episode 6.
Thanks, guys.